Hello and welcome to the mill. I am your host, Dusty Crane, and this week I have that interview that I promised you last week with Jamey, where we step outside of Pieces Game Cafe and just talk a little bit about the experience of Design Day from the past, the present, the future, and, just how this event came to be, kind of my experience, talk to him about it a little bit and see kind of his feedback. And yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. Sorry up front about the sirens. I swear I was joking that I think St. Louis decided to burn down right before we began, and a little bit of siren noise, it goes away, but thankfully it's not too bad. So if you can deal with that, I think we have kind of a fun video for you. So without further ado, here's me and Jamey. Well, hey Jamey, thanks for inviting me here to Design Day.
Yeah, this is really, really cool. Usually you're on camera alone. Usually I'm on camera alone.
That's right. So we got a little duo thing going on here.
Yeah.
So what number is this for the Stonemaier Design Day?
I think it's 7. People have asked me that today. I think it's 7. Last year was virtual, so I think it's 6 in person and a 7th virtual last year.
Nice. So with Stonemaier having its 9th birthday, just a couple days from filming this, you guys have been doing this like almost immediately after Stonemaier became a thing, and then Design Day. So what was it that you saw, hey, we should do this kind of community outreach kind of thing?
And that's really exactly what it is. We had two. Once we had viticulture on Kickstarter, then we had Euphoria on Kickstarter years ago, and even today I still am, but then I was really filled with this gratitude from the community for helping make this passion of mine come true. And so we wanted to help build that community in person, because we don't do a lot of in-person things. We work it from our houses. We don't go to many conventions. So we wanted to have something that was ours that we could invite people to, and just thank them for being a part of our company. And also, like, a big part of the event is having people playtest their own prototypes that will never have any connection to Stonemaier games, but just giving them a space to do that. Mm-hmm. And then we also do the charity auction every year. So those two things came out of that early gratitude, and we get to do both of them to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, I'll have some footage there or whatever, but it was definitely very cool to just see everyone seemed like really positive, really happy, and just from me, just dealing with people on the internet, and like usually criticism, whether it's constructive or not, sometimes feels like an attack, but like literally everybody inside there that is asking for that feedback, and like very gracious and accepting of it, and so that's, I think personally that part of that is just due to the fact that, like, the way you lead. I mean, this is your event, and so, there's certain expectations. I mean, from the footage we see, like, we're outside, so we're not wearing masks, but inside, like, everyone's care was, obviously taken into consideration right from the get-go. I guess was that, in your mind, was that always just like, that's what we need to do Design Day this year?
Yeah. I mean, last year it quickly became a question of, will we do it virtual or will we not do it at all? Because we just couldn't do it in person safely last year. The chances of someone getting sick and then a lot of people getting sick were just too high, and that's not how we want to look after our friends and our community. Mm-hmm. But this year, with the vaccinations, we made it a vaccination required event. We checked vaccination cards at the door, photos of them, to make sure everyone was telling the truth. Mm-hmm. We found out once we added that layer that there were a few people that dropped out because they were ready to lie about it, which was a little concerning. Yeah. But most of the people here signed on for that, or wearing masks today, even though it's a long day to wear masks. Mm-hmm. It's nice to be outside here for a few minutes without it. But right. Yeah, it's just, the general spirit of what I see from you and the community that you have on the mill and your Facebook group friends and whatnot, just looking out for each other and keep each other safe in this time where it's all too easy to accidentally hurt somebody. Right, yeah, and that is it too, is it's like, I was, staying in the area here, and so I'm this is my first time in St. Louis, and
just walking by some of these businesses, and I saw it was a coffee shop, and they had a brilliant sign in the window, and it said, "If all lives matter, then wear a mask."
Oh,
So it's like, let's
great.
take care of each
I like
other.
that.
So I was like, okay, I'm snapping a picture of that. That's great. But yeah, it has been a lot of fun, and so this one being in person, and last year being online. I would imagine the attendance was probably less. Did you have to
Oh, yeah.
because everyone had to develop prototypes on, was it on like Tabletop Simulator
Yeah.
or Tabletopia, or I don't know how they work. I know anyone can make a tabletop simulator.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true in Tabletopia.
I think anyone can. Yeah, anyone can, but it definitely, it's a different type of prototype building process. Attendance was way down last year for the virtual event, which is fine. Like we're here to serve the people who want to actually show up.
Right.
And I can see how a virtual event is just not the same feeling as being in a room with a bunch of people who are passionate about it.
Right.
So yeah, last year I think we had like maybe 20, 25 people, maybe a dozen prototypes.
Mm-hmm.
And this year there's probably at least 30 prototypes out there today being play tested, and around 60 or 70 people. Normally we go up even higher than that, and we kind of started with close to 100. But and normally if someone drops out, we fill them in with someone from the waiting list. But this year we were like, if you drop out, we'll just deal with fewer people. We'll just have fun with fewer people. Maybe it'll be a little safer that way too.
Right.
Yeah.
That was something that I was really impressed with, getting the newsletters or the updates from Joe whenever those came out.
Yeah.
Was just how often every little bit of news in terms of how you guys are keeping people safe, all of it was, and listen, if this isn't for you and you want a full refund at any time,
Totally.
just let me know.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of, I guess, the burden off of people that are like, maybe then I do lie about my vaccine because I'm not going to get my full amount back, you know. So I think, again, that's just a stellar, I think, idea to do that. So Design Day itself, obviously you've seen them from the beginning. I sat down in front of like some pretty incredible prototypes.
Yeah.
Like a few times there where I'm just like, this isn't even a game. This is definitely somebody's passion project.
Yeah.
Like, does it seem like year after year after year they're getting bigger, or is it kind of vary year to year, or what do you think?
I think we've seen the quality go up every year. I think people are eager to show off their best work, or the thing that they're most excited about. And a couple years ago, we implemented a rating system for no real reason other than to give people some sort of quantifiable feedback at the end of the event if people really enjoyed their prototype, or if their prototype needed a lot of work, or if they should set that prototype aside and maybe work on something else that they're working on. So I think that maybe has encouraged people also to bring their best work and to really, one of the things we learned early on is that people would sometimes bring a prototype without ever playtesting it. So this would be their first playtest. And any game designer watching this knows that the first playtest is always terrible. All of my first playtests are always terrible. And so you got to get that one out of the way, I think, before you bring something that's a little more polished that people can actually have fun with.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see, but as you saw, we were just talking about this before we went live here, but there's a wide variety of prototypes out there too. So
yes.
There's some like heavy, like 3-hour games on the table. There's also some really light, like 30-minute games that are delightful. Both have a place here at Design Day type events.
Yeah, it looked like the first half of the day, it seemed like those were the shorter time periods, so you could get to several smaller, shorter games, and then after lunch was a series of, those were the longer time slots.
Yeah.
Is that...
We structured that a few years ago because we figured people are still kind of waking up in the morning, so maybe they don't want to sit down for that 20-minute rules explanation game that's going to last 3 hours. But some light push your luck game, maybe they can get through that in the morning, push through that, and then get to the afternoon where they can sit down for a longer game.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that I encountered that maybe anyone who's watching this or they're going to put together a prototype is I think in terms of having a game that's serviceable and works and you've play tested is really spend a little bit of time to how do I teach this game?
Oh yeah.
And because there was a couple of them, or one of them that I sat down to was it was all right, here's a whole bunch of everything. Yeah. And then all right, go. And then, and obviously everyone's super friendly. So if you have any questions, let me know. And they were, guiding and helping things along. But it was also whoa, I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose at first. And then it was you start playing, you're like, oh, okay, no, this is good.
Yeah.
it's so like in terms of like what you've talked about in the past, in terms of like, all right, I'm gonna give you just what you need to take this first turn, and let's go. I think they'd probably be served well, doing that. Like, do you find do you think that maybe some of that is a part of the how many play tests you have? Like, maybe you learn those lessons, or is it different every group that sits down at the table?
Well, yeah, that's one of the things that I learned with my games pretty early on. Like, I love to play my games if someone's eager to get them to the table. But the number one thing I've learned is that I will have to teach my games a lot, whether it's playtesting or the final version. And so I want a game that is teachable. So from the very beginning, when I start to design a game, I'm thinking, how am I going to teach this? Can I teach this? And can I still have fun when I'm teaching it? And so I think that's something that maybe some of these designers are figuring out for the first time when they come to an event like this. Yeah. How do I teach this, and can I make this fun for me, so someone can start taking a few turns, and that I can still enjoy that experience,
right?
As a teacher, as a designer.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good advice. So like, do you guys? So I know there's a thing at work, like we do something and it's like, all right, let's revisit it. Let's do our lessons learned. Do you guys get together as a group after every design day? What worked, what didn't? What do we want to try next year?
Yeah, usually we're at Pieces Game Cafe, which you guys have probably seen some of the footage that Dusty's going to show you, which is a wonderful setting for this. And so we usually talk to them afterward about their experience. How can we make it better for them and us jointly? Joe, my coworker Joe, is the one running the show, so I will get together and talk with Joe, and we get feedback from the attendees too. So if there's anything big that we're missing or that we want to see patterns of feedback on, usually we talk about, like the format itself is pretty much down at this point. Maybe we'll get something some feedback at a certain point that will change that. A lot of it's based around like the food, that type of thing. Like, how do we serve the food best so everyone's happy, or what kind of food do we serve? Right. And we tried a different serving method this year. We did more family style food.
Yeah. The food was great.
Pieces makes great food. Yeah,
they do.
So we'll get some feedback about that. But we definitely we want to learn every time we make one of these events, so we can better serve the people who come way out of their way. Like you drove how many hours to get here?
7.5.
7.5. Yeah. People have flown in from all over the country and drove in from far away. So we want to make sure they have a good time once they actually get here.
Do you know who the farthest attendant has been, or how far they've come?
I don't think we've had anyone come from outside of the continental U.S. yet, but there are definitely some people from Washington here and California here and from Florida. I think someone drove from Florida. Carlos from the Beans and Dice podcast drove up there, and that's a drive. That's like maybe a 20-hour drive from Florida.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah.
You got to like driving.
Yes, yeah. And you drove here with your son, right? Yeah. And how has the experience been with Josh so far?
Oh, you know what? I think originally I was a little concerned, especially with by the time we signed up for stuff, it was afternoon stuff. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna have the morning off. We're gonna film some stuff, and then we'll go ahead and also, if you see any of the yellow flag or the orange flags up, they're looking for a player. By all means, jump in. And he's and he has. I attribute that to him recently going to college and the way they've taught them to introduce themselves and like meet just random new people. And he took to that. But he's been having a good time. The 3 games we played together, and now he's off playing another long one.
There right now.
Yeah. So he's having a good time. It's good. And it was a trip that we were looking forward to too. Yeah. So again, really appreciate you having me here, and it's been great meeting the team, and I think this is a great setting. So do you ever, I guess, run in there, this being a Stonemaier thing, are you always looking from what could be a new Stonemaier title?
Yeah, so I like to think of this event as mostly goodwill and community building, but the one little sneaky part is I get to go around and look at a lot of games, and I get to learn from them as a designer myself. I'm always trying to learn from other designs, but also maybe if something catches my eye as really unique and innovative and fun, and the ratings also help with that. The ratings help show me which of the games people are really, really enjoying.
Yeah.
That and some of those games people aren't looking for a publisher. They want to self-publish, or they're just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
But some of them, they might be looking for a publisher, and we had Pendulum came out of Design Day. Pendulum was the highest rated game ever designed 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. And so we ended up publishing that one. And I think that was the first one. I think that was the only one so far, but it could definitely happen in the future.
Yeah. I wondered if some of the incentive for bringing it to Design Day was that, hey, I'm going to get eyes in front. I can't just. Well, I guess you guys are open to submissions, but you have Alan. I'm going to say gatekeeping, but I don't mean that the wrong way. I mean, like, Alan's like taking a look at, no, this doesn't work for us, or this does work for us. Whereas this is, it's like, hey, there's no Alan. Right. He's not, running interference here, or I mean it friendly, but I wonder if that's part of it. But
it could be. Yeah, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up because we publish so few games, but there might be a little bit of that, and even just the element of proximity here, of spending quality time, even just a few minutes with someone. I think it brings us closer, or brings me closer together with everyone here, and so that is always helpful. That's why, that's one of the reasons I published Wingspan, because I was able to sit down with Elizabeth and not just play a game that needed a lot of work, but also sit down with her and see how she would be to work with, how she was with accepting feedback or pushing back against feedback at the right time. Like, having that FaceTime with a designer is so invaluable, and we don't get that from a Google submission form on our website, but we get it here in person. I get to see how people are when they are sharing their game or talking about their game.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point too, is like, it is, even if it's their game, there is a collaboration. Can they accept the feedback? Can they hand off their baby and hope that you're gonna do what's right by it?
You mentioned earlier that you've seen designers today iterate on the fly. So you can see them in real time taking that feedback and being willing to make changes, or saying at certain times, no, like, this is let's push this one a little bit. Let's push this button and see what happens. I like to see both of that. Yeah, it was really cool, and it was really kind of a simple change that it was normally like a hidden resource. Like, you'd go to it and you'd collect it, but it was you didn't know what you were getting. Okay. But someone recommended, if you make it public, then you kind of create a race for, this is a greater value resource than this one. Okay. And so we got to play that version of it with the chasing after resources, and I do think it was like, okay, well, now we're clogging up the board over here because we want that thing because it's worth more points. Right. But yeah, it was one of those. Like I said, everyone's been really good at taking the feedback, and kudos to Joe too. Like, he's so active, walking around the floor, and you need somebody else. Hey, they need two over here. You're just standing. Like, are you looking for something to do? Yeah. Like, do you want to be a part of it? And so it was great. Like, I haven't seen anyone who just kind of had to pack anything up and like, all right, well, I don't have a player. Like, there's every table has somebody playing something, and Joe is actively trying to bring people into it. Yeah, I appreciate you giving Joe credit for that, because this is part of Joe's job, and he does a wonderful job at organizing it, at keeping it's very structured, so keeping the structure of it, but also on the day of when things don't go exactly as planned, being there to help people have a good time. Yeah, he does a great job at that. I have a little bit of that now. I try to play host, but it's also fun for me to just sit down at a table and watch someone play a game for a while. I'll let Joe handle some of that other stuff. Right. Like the beginning, absolutely. Like, we walked in and there's footage, we're coming inside, and it was when they were doing the COVID check and making, the badges or your card or whatever. Yeah. And, you're standing there greeting people, and Joe's checking off, and Alex too. And just really well organized. And I think part of, like I said, the way that the event is led, I think also plays into the people that are showing off their games too. Is it's like they're very aware of that structure. Yeah. And very good about, like, we had a game that we're like, all right, we got to stop it right now. We're butting into the next time slot, and I want to have a second to talk to you guys and get your feedback on it. Yeah. And so that was another. Like, everything has been working really well. So yeah, Joe set that structure up. I think he's doing a great job by it. We learned that from the early days a little bit. The early days, it wasn't at Pieces. It was in a church basement, and I would flicker the lights when it was time to change tables, and I would yell at everybody, be like, all right, time to change it up. And we realized that wasn't necessary. Like, people weren't needing that type of a reminder, and it was just interrupting the flow of the event. So it's really nice that people stick with that structure, and there's no, you will see, there's no official announcement here today. I will never get up in front of anyone here today and say anything. Everyone just kind of goes with the flow. Yeah. And it makes it almost feel like a big game day. We just get together with some friends and play games all day. Yeah.
It definitely does, and it's been a lot of fun. And so, is this like a? I know it's been yearly so far, but is this something that you're looking forward to? Obviously, as Stonemaier continues along, and 9-year, 10-year next year, and is it your hope that Design Day continues year after year after year?
I hope so. Yeah, it's one of my favorite traditions.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have asked if we'll do it more than once a year, and I think sometimes traditions like this are best left at once per year. Mm-hmm. We don't have 2 Christmases a year. It feels special because there's 1 Christmas a year.
That's right.
Or whatever holiday you celebrate. So I think it's something that we'll continue to do once a year as long as people want to show up and share their prototypes and share their playtesting time.
Yeah. No, it's really cool, and I guess certainly there are people that show up just to play.
Right.
But there are also designers that are playing other designers' games. So I sat down at one of the tables and we got our name tags on. And he's like, "Hey, Dusty, have you showed your game today? Are you here showing a game?" I'm like, "No, just here to play." And he's, "Oh, okay, cool." But I get the impression that he'd be like, "All right, well, how's it been going?" And there's just like a camaraderie among everyone here.
Yeah,
it does it. I mean, the name tags help certainly, but it's like everyone's just like been friendly. I haven't encountered, I've done Gen Con plenty of times and hosted games and had those encounters where people are just nasty, or they're like really trying to I guess bluff or get over on people, or like how they play their game is super aggression. I didn't see any of that in there. It's just it's friendly. I think I guess that's my pitch for you guys, for anyone who's like, "Oh, do I want to do this or not?" It's absolutely it's great. It ends up being a pretty tight attendee list, but anyone is welcome. Like it's not an exclusive event, as long as we can fit you in here at Pieces. Yeah, anyone really is welcome. And cookies help too with that. We have a bunch of cookies out there, and that is a surprising secret to keep people happy throughout the day. Give you cookies. I'm telling you, Josh. I was sitting at the table, and Josh came running up, and he goes, "They have these coconut cookies. They're amazing." So absolutely it helps. And then after lunch, they have the bar there, but like
they do have the bar. Yeah.
You imagine that like that might cause some people, but I haven't seen anyone overdoing it either.
No.
Just got some well-mannered gamers here.
Yeah.
So it's no secret you have said that you don't really like the big crowds, like you'll go to Geekway, but you're kind of done with the bigger conventions, just the ton of people. So the day after this very social event for you, what does tomorrow look like? I mean, I guess it is Monday, but
it's Monday. It's a day of work, but I will sleep well tonight, I think. Like, as much fun as I have, it is, as an introvert, does take a lot of energy out of me, but I still have fun with it. I told you yesterday, like, I could have had a more social Saturday, too, because some people were in town, but it was my girlfriend's birthday. We had a nice, quiet, introverted couples day, saving up that energy.
Is Megan an introvert, too? Or introvert?
She's right on the edge, I would say. More introverted than extroverted, though. Yeah. And she would come today. She loves coming to this event, but we're just trying to be extra careful for COVID reasons, even with all the vaccinations. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Sure. Yeah, that's understandable. So tomorrow's going to be low key.
Low key.
Low key is a good advantage. Yeah. Like, all right, no podcast interviews or video interviews tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
I need a break.
Yeah.
You go home, lay down on the couch, and the cats join you.
Yep.
Is there going to be a TV show tonight?
I'll probably need something to unwind tonight. Yeah. Maybe a Brooklyn Nine-Nine tonight.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah. Good deal. Yeah. Well, as always, thank you so much. Is there anything that you would want to share with
the mill audience?
With the mill audience, maybe some people want to join next year.
Yeah, if anyone wants to join next year, we usually put it up on our web store in like April, May. Usually February, March, or April. We'll put it on the web store. But if you subscribe to our e-newsletter, you'll see when we put it up there for people to sign up and give it a try. And like you said, it's the type of thing where you can sign up for it and then cancel because maybe your schedule changes because you're signing up in something in March for September. We do it in September. So, we'd love to have you, especially if you're a mill follower. You are more than welcome here. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, and you're welcome back, Dusty.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
it was a good time. Appreciate it. We're doing fist bumps here this week, so thanks for coming.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Thanks. All right, that's all I have for you this week. I hope it was entertaining. I hope you learned something new. I hope, I don't know, I guess if there's any other questions, please let me know. Or if you have any questions about our interview or anything at all, the comments are always open. Yeah, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other.